Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Fizzness Shizzness podcast. My name is Rob, and this is my birthday month. It's March, middle of March. I turned 46 actually in 2 days, which every time I say that I turn 46, the number seems so crazy coming out of my mouth that I'm saying that I'm turning 46. It just doesn't seem possible. I've been spending a lot of time lately, whenever I go to bed, having these like existential crises with birthday math. So I'll be thinking like, well, if I'm 46, I did this at 45 a lot. Well, 45, I'm halfway to 90. I'm closer to 55 than I am to what I was, 25. Like I do all this stuff, and basically every night I have a freak out panic moment. The words don't seem real as they're coming out of my mouth. The older that I get, the numbers that I keep saying, how old that I am. But that happens in a couple of days. And, every year for my birthday, well, not my birthday, two of my friends also have March birthdays. And whenever I say friends, I mean from the very small circle of friends that I still have at 46. And every year in March, one of us will send a group text to the other two of us in any sort of order, just saying, hey guys, happy birthday, love you, whatever, and then maybe some sort of insult that we mean purely out of love to each other. And we do this every year, and it's been like this for probably 15 years, maybe 20 years. And, the funny thing about these guys is I've known them for a long time. I rarely see them. The one I met whenever I was a junior in high school, still to this day, my best friend, he lives in California. I live in Illinois. I haven't seen him in years. I talk to him every other week, but I just never see him. The other one, I hardly talk to at all. It's almost just the birthday texts at this point. I haven't seen him in probably maybe 5, 6, 7 years, but they're still my friends. Like I know that they're my friends. If I need a liver and one of them is a potential donor, I'm going to get a liver and vice versa. It's just that kind of friendship. But it's weird. I spent a lot of time thinking about those guys this week once those birthday texts started coming through. And by the way, I have no idea what days their birthdays are on. I remember their month because it's my month. Beyond that, I don't know. So I don't know if any of them actually know. We just send it in March and we know that we're safe. But, thinking about friendship this week and thinking about sort of like my age and how friendship is supposed to work whenever you get older, it's a lot different. It's so much different whenever you get to be, in your 30s, in your 40s, and I presume probably in your 50s, because friendships become so much more about choosing who you want to be around rather than just who you happen to be around. Whenever you're a kid, you make friends with like people at school because school is your entire world, and you're essentially picking from this tiny pool. Whoever is in that building, one of them is going to end up being your friend or multiples of them. But you don't have this concept of like picking and choosing and having this world in front of you that you can actually go, well, who do I want to spend time with? Who do I get along with? Who am I vibing with? And whose path seems to be similar to mine? You're just picking whoever you like well enough and who you can get along with well enough. And so when you go through high school, you've probably got a group of 5, 10, maybe more friends that you are close to. And what's funny is, when you're at that age and you have that world that you've created out of this sort of small pocket of circumstances, it's hard for you to imagine that there's ever going to be a time where you don't have those people around you anymore. Like, that you're going to not talk to people as much because everybody's going to start kind of doing their own thing. The older you get, when you get to be 17, 18, and people start talking about, well, I'm going to this college, or I'm going to go do this job, you start to kind of realize that things are going to change. But it's unfathomable to you, or at least it was to me, that like, hey, at some point, I'm not going to have anything to do with any of those people. Even up through like my 20s, my early 20s, a lot of the people that I was hanging around with, that I was friends with, that I was close to and saw, it seems like now every day, there are people that I went to high school with. They were just that world that I created based off of that tiny world that I was in. And now I don't talk to really any of them. I don't talk to the majority of those people. And I probably won't, and I'm okay with it. Just as I'm sure they're okay with not talking to me anymore. It's not because I feel differently about their value or whether I like them or don't like them. I think liking and not liking has so much less to do with being friends with somebody whenever you get older. When you're a kid, you're like, well, I don't like them. And that's sort of all. It's a little bit more complicated whenever you get older. I still like those people that I went to school with. We have a lot of differences, not just sort of like ideologically, but like where we live, our paths, all sorts of things. We just grew in separate directions, but I still like them. So if I was a kid, that would have been enough. But when you get older, it's not enough anymore to still just like somebody. There's something missing in those relationships that is required for them to be able to overcome and sort of transverse, is that the right word? Distance and differences in ideology and just sort of individual growth. Those two guys that I'm still friends with, even though we grew apart, we still grew. We were always just kind of close, right? And that's what helped us to maintain to this day this level of friendship. Whether I talk to them a lot, don't talk to them a lot, see them a lot, or don't see them at all, there's some sort of bond there that we don't need to do all that stuff to stay friends, to know that we're important to each other. Again, if they need something from me and it's important and vice versa, I know who to go to. That's just how it's going to be. But I don't think you're supposed to carry all those people with you forever, right? You're not supposed to, that group of 10, that group of 15, whatever it is, or 5, you're not supposed to keep them with you forever. While you grow, one of the keys to growing means you're also outgrowing. Your clothes, whenever you get older, you can't wear them anymore. It's not that you grew, it's also that you outgrew. The food that you like, the hobbies that you're interested in, the way that you handle your relationships, the type of relationships you have. As you progress, as you grow, you also are at the same time outgrowing. And so I think in a weird way, as you get older and you start to naturally outgrow a lot of these different things, friends are just a part of that. That's what's supposed to actually happen. You're not supposed to carry those things with you, because at the same time that you're trying to progress and grow as a person and grow in life and build a life, they're also trying to do the same thing, but in their own way. And that might not have anything to do with you. It might not line up with what you're trying to do. And even if it's not ever spoken, even if it's not ever actually like said out loud, like, hey, we're going in 2 different directions, it just sort of naturally happens where all of a sudden you look back and go, oh man, it's been a year since I talked to so-and-so. That's crazy. And then maybe you talk to so-and-so and it feels good for a second and you say, let's catch up. Let's go do a whatever, coffee or whatever people do. I don't know. And you just don't do it. And you start to realize after several years of this that it's changed, that even though it sounds nice in theory, that life just isn't lining up the same between you and those other people anymore. And that happens person after person after person, whether you realize it or not. I mean, I can't tell you how many times over the last couple of years I'll go, you know who I haven't talked to in a while? And it's just because I haven't even thought about them. It's not that I intentionally didn't talk to them. I forgot people exist. It's not that they're not nice people. It's not that they don't have value or that I don't care. I just don't care enough to think about them. Got other stuff going on. I outgrew them and they outgrew me. I'm okay with that. As being on the receiving side of being outgrown, I'm outgrowing them too. And it just says you're not supposed to carry these things with you forever. A few things you are. If your clothes continued to grow with you, you would never have to get rid of them. If I gain another 50 pounds, which at this rate I might, but like if my shirt grew, I wouldn't have to get a different shirt. I just keep the same shirt because it's going to keep fitting me no matter what. But that's not what happens with clothes. It's not really what happens with anything. And very rarely does it happen with friends or people or relationships or whatever it is. I was talking to a friend of mine who is back home visiting after being gone for quite some time. And she's back there with her family and her friends and a lot of very comfortable things. And it's a tough conversation we were having. I was telling her that it's okay to want to move on. Like, it's okay to say, like, I care about these people, but I'm on my own journey here and they're not on this same journey. So I got to start making some difficult decisions. They are on a journey. It's just not yours. And it sounds sad to say at some point you're going to lose the majority of the friends that you've got. It's very easy to frame that in a negative manner, like something bad happened. And it's not. It's actually quite the opposite. It's actually that something awesome has happened. It's that people grew wings. That's probably a weird reference. People grew up. People moved on. People progressed. They advanced. They moved forward, whatever you want to call it. You did it. You didn't leave them behind. They're doing it too. you both have left each other in most of these cases. There's probably some cases where some people are not progressing at all, and you have to make a decision on moving on, or else you're going to be hanging out with people that aren't progressing, which is going to inhibit your ability to also progress. That's a difficult thing too. But for the most part, other people are on their own journeys. They're trying to figure stuff out on their own. And frankly, dedicating a lot of time to helping a relationship mature that's not necessary, that's not required, it's just because you want to, sometimes just doesn't have enough room, doesn't have a place in life anymore. So you start to narrow down, well, who does have a place? And that's why I still have those couple of friends that I had from 2 decades ago. I've made other friends since then, but those were friends that I chose, not just out of the world that I was in, but out of the entire world, people that I happened to run into in random situations. In fact, one of them is in Seattle, Washington. One of them is down in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I may never see those guys again. I chose them. It wasn't because they were in my world all the time. I chose those guys, and they chose me. I still keep in touch with them several times a year. I think that's just how it's supposed to go. I think you're supposed to hold on to the ones that matter, whatever it is, whether it's your friendships, any sort of relationships, the clothes, the shirt, if you like it, the job that you like, whatever it is, you got to hold on to what matters. And if it doesn't, there is no time. Time is too short. Life is too short to be carrying around things that aren't helping you or aren't pushing you towards whatever it is you're trying to actually reach. Anything that's slowing you down, you might need to look at that and determine if it's actually worth continuing to carry it. Because even whenever it comes to friends, sometimes that answer is just going to be no. I love people. I loved those times with my friends in high school and after high school. I called a lot of them my family. You know, when you come from broken home situations, you tend to attract and attach yourself to people like that, to friend circles like that. You know, there you feel an emotional bond to those people. But as I have said several times in other podcasts, you never want to be the last one to leave a party. And whenever it's time to go, it's time to go. And sometimes that actually means friendships. Not because you don't want to be at the party, but because there's other things that you need to get to. And that's just the way the life goes. So that's it. Thanks y'all so much for watching this episode of the Fizzness Shizzness podcast. Subscribe wherever it is that you're listening to. And that's it. We'll see you on the next episode. That's all. Peace out.